Hello, and welcome back to the Who Are You podcast. I'm your host, Connor Overbay. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome, y'all. Always happy to have a new listener. We're coming out from Jacksonville, Florida. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, please give us a subscribe, a follow, even leave a comment or something. Let us know where you're listening from. You can find us all of our social media. It's going to be at Who Are You Pod from everything from Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all the normal spots, and on YouTube. If you're looking for us on YouTube, it's going to be Who Are You podcast, and you guys will be able to find us there. Also, if you guys know anybody who has a story that needs to be told, a business owner, an entrepreneur, really a mix of anything, I'm always looking for new guests, so feel free to shoot me a message on the social media, or you can email me. It's going to be whoareyoupod@yahoo.com, and maybe we'll have you guys on a future episode. But today, I'm sitting down with a very, very special guest, a gentleman who does similar things to what I do, helps promote local Jacksonville and everything. You may know him by his Instagram name, Big Rich Knows Jax, so welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Connor.
No problem, my man. Like I said, I'm happy to have you here. We've been kind of sitting here shooting the breeze a little bit before the podcast started, and it's awesome to learn more about you. I've been aware of you for a little while, checking out your Instagram and kind of seeing all the different spots that you go and check out. But before we get started in the conversation, please let everybody know where they can give you a follow, check out any of your content, all that normal stuff.
You can find me at all the social at Big Rich Knows Jax. That's BIGRICHKNOWSJAX. And you can also follow my food truck page, Food Trucks of 904.
Yeah. And like I said, we were talking back and forth. Obviously you like food. I like food.
Yes.
I'm a big foodie guy here in Jacksonville. Yes. And anytime I see a new place pop up, I'm always like, let's go try it out. Go try out something new.
Absolutely.
So basically how we're going to do the interview today is kind of get to know a little bit of your backstory and know a little bit about your life and everything. And then obviously we can go into the Instagram and everything you do to help promote local Jacksonville restaurants, food trucks, all the normal spots here in Jax. So my first question I always ask everybody is, where are you originally from?
Well, I was also born and raised in Jacksonville.
Hey.
One of the few people that has actually born and raised in Jacksonville and still resides in Jacksonville.
Exactly.
There's a few of us that are born and raised, but a lot of times, with this being a military town, they move away, or they end up moving or getting shipped out or something. But yeah, born and raised in Jacksonville. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. Moved around for work a couple of times, but I've always had a Florida ID. I've always had a Jacksonville address.
Nice. It's very rare. That's the thing that's funny is a lot of times I talk to people who are on the podcast here, and I always ask them where they're from because, as you were saying, a lot of people are transplants. Yeah. It's very rare that you meet people born, raised in Jacksonville, and actually, like as you said, stayed here in Jacksonville.
Right.
And I feel like this is the best time to really be in Jacksonville. It's growing so much, whether through the sports teams, through the restaurants, through just the businesses in general that are coming here. It's really becoming a booming spot now.
Agreed. It's kind of funny that, the pandemic really opened up Jacksonville. You would think that it would close up, but it actually expanded Jacksonville to more people. They started, venturing out a little bit more after things started getting back to some type of normalcy. So now we're seeing people finding some of these local hidden gems that, we are just finding or didn't know about. And that's what I like to do is introduce people to those little hidden gems that I've known about for years and that I grew up with in my childhood. And, so that's my passion, is getting people out of their comfort zone and introducing them to some of the local mom and pop businesses, hole in the walls, and not just food, because food is a big part of what I do. But there's a lot of small entrepreneurs in Jacksonville that just need a little bit of a push to put more eyes on them.
Of course. No, it's definitely a big thing. It's in today's world where there's so many people looking for your attention, so many eyeballs that are trying to get their access to you and everything. It's harder nowadays when it comes to marketing and putting yourself out there. Me and Shane have been doing this for 3 years, and it's not that we have millions of followers, but we are happy to have anybody who just checks us out, or even new followers and everything. And obviously what you're doing, bringing people in the door, that's a big thing. For restaurants, I know it's such a razor thin margin that these people have to, make make enough just to live in general. So it's great that you're going out there promoting local Jacksonville restaurants and helping, bring them business or just notoriety in general.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit before the podcast. You kind of have a background in food in general as well.
Yeah.
So you said your first job was fast food, you said?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I grew up in Jacksonville. My first paying job, some people may know this restaurant. It's called the Chic Restaurant.
Oh, yeah. I know the Chic.
So the Chic on Main Street was my first official job.
Nice.
Where I was actually getting a paycheck. That was all legal and taxed and everything. My best friend father owned that restaurant. And so at 14, I started working there.
Oh, wow.
And I worked there off and on until I was like 18, for so long that people assumed I was one of the cousins or I was a family member because of the dark skin.
I understand, yeah.
But, that kind of like opened my eyes up, and being from the South and like having a grandmother who cooked and took on, me into the kitchen, taught me how to cook, and it created a passion. And so as I got older, I wound up going to culinary school.
Oh, wow.
And then once I graduated culinary school, I did my internship here in Jacksonville at the Omni Hotel downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I worked at a couple of different places, some diners, I even worked a cruise line for a little while.
Wow.
But as fate would have it, I was cursed with a car accident that took me out of that path. But like they say, everything happens for a reason. I got into retail and sales, and marketing just kind of went hand in hand with that, marketing myself to the customers. And now I'm able to help other people gain some eyes on them. So.
I love that. I really do. And also going to culinary school, I always thought that was a kind of a thought process when I was growing up, because I was always into cooking, as I was telling you, like grew up with a mom who taught me how to cook. My dad taught me how to cook. And I was like, maybe I could be a chef or go into that. And then, life happens. Other things come into play, and that vision kind of goes away. And you're like, how do I make money to support myself now is the main thing. But that's awesome. Where did you go to culinary school at?
Excuse me, American Culinary Academy.
Nice. Okay.
Basically, I got a scholarship because I was kind of poor growing up. So I was able to qualify for a scholarship, and that helped me.
Good for you. I love that.
And so I went through FSCJ back. It used to be FCCJ.
Yep.
And so I went through my first classes there, and then that got me the scholarship.
Nice. I went to FSCJ for college. That's where I got my associate's degree at.
Right on.
Nice. So when it comes to, obviously, being a classically trained chef, how was there a specific, let me think of the word to say, kind of food that you're interested in? Maybe a certain like ethnic group that you like more, like, Asian style food, Hispanic, or anything like that?
I love Italian food.
Okay.
I love making pasta. I love baking, and that was one of my skill set is, it kind of zenned me out to be able to go in there and make and measure and get, just in my own zone.
Of course.
And so pasta and like Italian food is a big passion for me.
Nice. I would say for me, I'm not a huge red sauce guy, but I do have my signature dish on the Italian side. I love making a nice fresh chicken piccata. Okay. I love a nice lemon butter sauce, just that kind of style, or a good Alfredo. A good Alfredo sauce always hits. All that garlic and the richness of the sauce is something I've always been a big fan of. And you're speaking to her heart. She's a huge Italian food fan. Love
Italian. I've found a lot of Italian places that really do a really good job in Jacksonville. So if I can turn people on to those type of places, obviously I want to do that. And I mean, everybody has their own, taste when it comes to like pizza and pasta and red sauce or versus white sauce or, I just like good food.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
If it's just done right, it's done right.
Oh yeah. I say for me, like I lean more towards, I really enjoy a good Indian food because I personally don't know how to make it myself.
Sure.
So anytime I get a chance, you'll get, like the good classics, chicken tikka masala or like a nice saag or something of that. I do thoroughly enjoy that.
Love me some Indian food. I like the tikka masala, but butter chicken.
Yes, butter chicken is good.
Butter chicken is my go-to whenever I'm in the mood for that flavor. Love me a butter chicken with with the roti.
Oh yeah, the way I kind of test out if I know if it's going to be a good Indian food restaurant is their naan. A good garlic naan, that nice soft bread, and obviously you dip it in the sauce, it soaks up everything. It's just it's so good.
Yeah.
Or even just the rice. Say this isn't like premium Indian food, but whenever we go on cruises and I see that they have the Indian food there, like Royal Caribbean has really good, like a whole section is Indian food. Okay. You can ask her. That's like the main thing I'm eating the whole time I'm on the trip. I'll go over there and get 3 or 4 plates of just a mix of stuff because I don't get it as often here in Jacksonville. One of my favorite spots back in the day, I think they closed recently, was Fifth Element.
Yes.
That was one of the first Indian food places I ever got a chance, and they did a buffet style. So I could go down the line, try a different mix of different things, and that's kind of where I found my little bit of love for it. And I know a bunch of restaurants have opened up now, like Jack Spice down at the beach. That's been around for probably about 5-10 years, maybe not 10 years. I'd probably say closer to 5 because I think it opened up in high school time.
Yeah.
And there's just the restaurants here are amazing. Taberna is really good. That's not an Indian restaurant, but that's another restaurant over in the not Orange Park area. Where's that at? That's Riverside, I think. If I remember, San Marco area. Yeah. And they now that I don't work for this company, whenever I was doing pest control, I did their restaurant as well. It's and to be honest, pristinely clean. That's the one thing I'll give them. Everything, and I would go in there, they'd be cutting up a fresh fish that they just got that morning. Everything's fresh and delicious. I really enjoyed it over there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like hidden gems as far as Indian food. There's Mesa over near Avondale, like West Side area over there on Herschel. There's a great little fusion. It's literally called Fusion Food Truck.
Oh, okay.
And they do a blend of like Indian and Mediterranean.
That sounds good.
It's really good.
I'll say we here at our apartment complex here, they have food trucks. I believe it's every Wednesday or Thursday they come by.
Sure.
And it's cool to see just the mix of different food trucks because that was a huge thing. I remember when the food truck craze happened and it just exploded. Like the Happy Grilled Cheese was a big thing. Yes. And then they moved into more like brick and mortar stores or Mr. Taco. That was another one that I used to really enjoy as well. I would go to the one that was right next to Southside. It was like near where the big orange dinosaur is.
Right.
It was like across the street and go to the actual food truck and get their taco.
Boulevard,
it was super good. My buddy who I worked with at the time was like, dude, we got to go try this after work. And to be honest, it was delicious. Anytime I get a chance to go try something new and new experience or go support local Jacksonville people, it's great and it's not terribly expensive, at least in my personal opinion. Yeah,
I mean, I've been working with the food truck community for over 5 years now, marketing and promoting them and kind of turning people on to them. It was kind of like a guilty pleasure for me. I created the Food Trucks of 904 page, almost like a digital cabinet of like all the trucks that I liked. And it originally was a private page just for me.
Oh, really?
And so I was just following all the food trucks that I had eaten, so I knew where they were going to be. So when they would put their schedule out, I would see it first. So I knew where they were going to be week by week, and then I just started like getting to know the owners, and I started people. Obviously, they would follow me back. And then some people would try to follow my page, say, hey, where's this food truck going to be? And so I opened it up to the public.
Nice.
And it just kind of created its own little world and community that now that's kind of like the go-to page for a lot of people in Jacksonville that want to find out where the food trucks are going to be. Same thing with the apartments who do the food truck nights. They hit me up and they look at my page for recommendations, and I try to help them find newer food trucks that come out so they can get into the rotation.
Nice. That's really cool that you do that, and that's cool that they're reaching out to you. I bet that makes you feel good. Like you're not just talking to a black hole. There's feedback coming back and everything. And your videos are awesome. Every time I see them, I'm like, ooh, I need to go try that restaurant now. It looks really good. So do you do Instagram and like your social media full time? Is that like your whole thing, or do you still have a day job or anything like that?
So so my day job is social media.
Okay.
In a sense, because I of course, with the promoting of the food trucks, letting people know where to find them. I also have a couple of pages that I administrate and run their social media for them.
Good for you.
For the people who don't really have that time or don't want to learn how to do social media, they pay me to do it for them, and me getting to know them as a person helps me with posting for them.
Gotcha.
In their own personality and letting people know where to find them, their hours and with their schedules. and making content for them on a regular basis.
Nice.
And so I'm able to do that now to at least pay my bills. My goal obviously would be to have like a show kind of like Guy Fieri.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like how I modeled like what I wanted to bring to the table, is be the diners, drive-ins, and dives of Jacksonville.
Okay.
Because I wanted to cater to the mom and pop and the hidden gems.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't want to really do like the franchises and all the commercial businesses. They've got a bunch of money that they can afford to pay for advertising. These mom and pop shops and these food trucks, they don't have the budget for that. They can't spend thousands of dollars a month on promoting their business. So that's where I come in.
I love that. So when it comes to finding these food trucks, these new hidden gems or anything, and does a lot of time, is it people that you've already kind of like seen, they're like, okay, I need to go check them out, or is it more them reaching out to you, say, hey, come try us out, would love to have us come give us like a review or something like that?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Like they'll find like somebody in the community will tell them, hey, you need to follow Rich, you need to follow Food Trucks 904. He'll put you on to, some different locations to set up and things like that. And then, of course, some of my followers will also find something new that I haven't tried yet. I can't be everywhere.
Of course.
So I rely on some of my followers that are on different sides of town. Hey, if you see something new pop up, let me know.
That's a good idea, to have your, it's great having followers that are, interacting with you. That's definitely a huge thing, because it's the same for me. I'll have people reach out like, hey, have you talked to this guy yet or anything like that? And I'll go look at their page. I'm like, oh, they are interesting. Thank you for letting me know. It helps make my life easier, because most of the time, I'm reaching out. Every time that you see a who are you message going out, it's me. I'm the one scheduling, getting everything set up, kind of letting everybody know, or even just the videos. All the marketing is me and everything as well. So that's awesome that you got that community of people that are helping you out as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been me running both my pages, along with managing other people's social media. It's just been me running Food Trucks 904 for the last 5.5 years, and then running my own personal page for over a decade, and growing it to where it is organically. Not relying on sponsored ads or paying for followers or paying for views or using some type of a push. I think that anyone who does that, is just looking for clout, and that's not what I want to be. I'm not knocking their hustle in a sense, but I want to be more organic. I want to be more authentic with what I do. So whenever if I get invited to a place and they're paying and they're giving me free food, I'm gonna let people know, hey, they invited me.
Yeah. That's all. It's you being authentic and not trying to be fake on it. Yeah. And
you'll never see me with a table full of food, and acting like I ordered all of this. Because obviously, that's not what any normal person would do.
No, I totally understand that. And I agree with you on the paying for followers, doing all that stuff. All the followers we have is just through posting videos. And, it's not like every video gets 10 million views or anything like that. It's just I put out what I want to put out and what I find interesting, and some people follow along with it, and other people, it's not their jam. I'm like, that's totally fine.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, this show isn't about me. That's the main thing I try to put out there. Is it's about the guests I have every single week. Right. It's about, promoting you guys and talking about what you guys got going on, because there's so many interesting things that happen here in Jax where a lot of people I don't think are aware of it, and just trying to tell y'all a story. And I feel like a lot of times, whether you're a business owner or what you do with social media, people are more willing to follow you or do business with you if they kind of know a little bit of your backstory.
Right.
Everybody likes to post, not everybody, a lot of people like to post their highlight reels, and then they don't talk about all the other stuff that's behind it. Whether it's a struggle, it was like, hey, there was one point I was thinking about quitting this and blah, 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 blah. Or, I had, as you were saying, a car accident that really kind of derailed my life for a little bit there, and having to figure it out from there. So that's my big thing. Is we talk a lot about mental health is a huge topic on the podcast. We talk about one of our sponsors is BetterHelp, but through doing that is like, I'm just big on, talking about my stuff. I grew up with like having issues with depression and, yada, yada, yada. The podcast has heard it 1,000 times. And that was like a big part for me because it's part of my life. That's you letting them see a kind of a window into my life of, why I am the way I am or why I kind of talk about the stuff I talk about and just letting people in. And I feel like with what you're doing is very genuine is the main thing. I hate when I get on a social media page and like, hey guys, blah, 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 blah. And then you meet them in person and they're not the same person.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like, not saying a lot of people on the podcast have done that, but I met a couple of people or I've interviewed a couple of people. I'm like, you're not the same person. I'm like,
well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people will put on an act. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's par for the course when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
You're, typically you're only going to see the best parts of them. Mm-hmm. The best experience that they've had. You're not going to see the dark corners, which obviously, most people don't want to see that on social media, but it's real. It's reality. Mm-hmm. It's real life, and the fact that you're drawing attention to mental health and depression is important because we've all gone through it. Mm-hmm. Myself included. Obviously when my career in culinary was derailed, obviously depression was a part of my growth, And
if you don't mind me asking about the car accident, if you're okay with talking about
sure.
What happened, I guess what's the story with that?
So I was basically hit by a drunk driver.
Oh.
I was rear-ended. Mm-hmm. I was basically sitting at a red light and this drunk driver in a truck. I was in a sedan.
Oh.
And he was in a big truck and he pretty much collapsed my trunk into the back seat basically.
Whoa. So he's going super fast.
Yeah, he didn't even stop.
Like, oh my God.
It was just that type of, he was drunk and he wasn't even paying attention. And so luckily I was wearing my seatbelt. Luckily there was nobody in the back seat with me. Mm-hmm. There was nobody riding in the car with me. So it was just me who was injured. And so I had to go through some physical therapy and obviously, had some nerve damage and some, herniated discs.
That's not fun at all.
No. And it's, you're never the same after something like that. But I knew that, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this job anymore to the full of my, ability. So I had to find something else. Mm-hmm. So I got a job in retail, in the beginning stages of the cell phone industry, where it was starting to go from analog to digital. Mm-hmm. That's where my career path started with technology.
Nice. Okay.
So I was a Radio Shack guy.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that name in so long.
Back in my day.
That is a throwback. I haven't thought about a Radio Shack in forever.
Yeah. So because most of the people who worked in the Radio Shack were either fresh like faces or older guys that'd been there for, decades. And they didn't want to learn the cell phone industry. So in comes me. I'm all about it. I love technology too. And so they just would put everybody to me. You want a cell phone? Go see Richard. Back in the day it was Richard. Mm-hmm. And so I sold cell phone after cell phone and I studied them and I wanted to know how they worked and how they were progressing. So I seen how they're progressing. So I knew that technology was going to be a big part of our society at an early age.
That's interesting.
Because I saw that when they started going digital and they started having color screens, and I was like, okay, people are going to be able to do a lot with these, and there's going to be advertising, and so I took advantage of that knowledge, and so anytime that something new came out, I wanted to learn about it. Mm-hmm. And then when social media came out, I want to know about it. I don't want to be one of those, people that don't know how to use it. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, if you're my age and you don't know how to use the social media platforms and you don't know how to use the technology, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Because you had every opportunity. You chose not to learn it. You chose not to dive into it. So now you're sitting here behind, and you have to have your kids, or even some people, you have to have your grandkids explain how to use these smartphones. And so I tell people, you got no excuse. If with technology, it's the knowledge is out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, nowadays you can Google or YouTube a tutorial on everything.
Anything nowadays, like with everything that I do, like for like I was telling you, I got the camera recently.
Yeah,
everything that you see. I've taught myself audio editing, video editing, and I'm still a novice on the video editing side. Still learning every day on how to add new things or all that stuff. But it's crazy. You can literally YouTube University anything now. Yes. And you brought up the old cell phones and everything. I remember whenever I was born in '99, so obviously I wasn't around for the brick phones or anything like that. But I remember the days of like the Motorola, what were the flip phones called?
The
Razors. Those were like the craze for the longest time, or the sidekicks, the ones where you flip up the screen.
Yep.
I remember being
swivel out.
Yeah, I remember being like 7 or 8, and my cousins had it. And I'm like, I want a phone so bad, blah 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 blah. Or my dad, like, I still have a memory to this day of my dad having a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
the little Pearl, and playing games on there. I remember it was amazing that you could go on the internet, you could go on Google on them, and like that was the craze. And then I think it was around 7th or 8th grade for me. My buddy Jacob Workman, shout out Jacob, he got the first iPhone, and that blew me away. Like looking at an iPhone and just like the sleekness of it, and the screen was all touch screen, and being able to get apps. Like, what was an application back then? It was a really interesting thing, because my first piece of technology that was something more advanced, I guess I would say, was like an iPod Touch.
Oh yeah,
like that was a huge thing. I thought that was really cool. I could play games on it and everything, and to see what's progressed to now is amazing. You can download. You don't need a physical disc anymore to play video games. You can just download it from the cloud or the internet service. And I'm sure back in the day where like Pong was a thing and all that, or Tetris and all that, it was just it's probably mind blowing seeing the progression of technology from when you were younger, or even my parents when they were younger and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that technology has come a long way over the last like 2 or 3 decades in itself, and I think it's right here. It's kind of plateaued a little bit, but I think that we're in the world of technology, and you have to embrace it. Mm-hmm. If you're not embracing, then you're going to get left behind.
Very true. No, I definitely agree with you. Do you have any opinions on like AI? Is that something you've looked into too much?
I've looked into it a little bit. I think that there's a place for it if it's used properly. Mm-hmm. But I think that I worry about it getting used too much.
I agree,
especially by corporations and people losing their jobs because of AI. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I do worry about for the next generation is where the job's going to be if it goes to AI.
No, that's definitely a huge thing. Like there's, I think Amazon has stores is what it is, where you can go in and you just say like, I just grabbed this drink. Yep. Just take it off the shelf. It knows you have it in your possession, and then you can just walk out and it'll charge your Amazon account, and then it'll just send you a bill. I'm just like, that's kind of creepy. For me, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, but honestly, that type of technology was like foreshadowed 20 plus years ago that was going to be a thing. Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, the movie. Yep.
Yeah, Blade Runner's was basically like where we are now. It's almost Blade Runner's status, where it's all technology based and AI and computers and shopping with just your wrist, with people just go in there and shop and pay for it with the little chip in their wrist.
It's all weird. It's super weird. So with you being interested in technology and everything, are you, besides obviously like social media and everything, are you into like video games? Are you into anything else outside of like cell phones or anything like that?
Well, because my time is so like limited, I'm not at home as that much anymore. So, I used to do, the video gaming. I used to have a PS and PS2 and PS3. But I stopped after that. I just, my time got busy.
I totally understand. I would say every time I open up Instagram, I see you like the famous, like the pointing up to the sign or something like that. I'm like, this man's always grinding. I love it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like, editing your videos and everything, is it more just off the phone, or do you do like Premiere Pro and add all that into it?
Basically I started using like CapCut and then editing.
I love CapCut, by the way. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I don't use the templates as much. I do use it every now and then if it's just a simple edit, like I'm not really talking or anything on it. I'll use the CapCut templates, but for the most part, I like to use the actual editing.
That's how I am as well. Anything you see on like social media is me cutting it up, or adding the numbers, or like the question that's on front of it and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes it very user friendly, because I feel like a lot of people are like, how do I edit a video? And it seems like it would be a very daunting task.
Sure.
When it's somewhat it is. If you get into more like the Premiere Pros, the DaVincis, and everything for like YouTube videos, definitely a little bit of not a pain in the ass, but a little bit more in depth, I guess is what I would say. But I feel like I discovered CapCut. I was actually one of my old podcast guests. He's like, have you ever used CapCut? And I was like, no, I haven't. I've used it, and that's what I use to this day, because they have a free version and then you have a paid version, and you can do so much for like what you want.
And the paid version is it's not that expensive if when you look at it, $14.99 a month or whatever, and sometimes if you do it yearly, you get it even cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, what's $14.99 a month? That's a meal. That's shit nowadays, half a meal when you go to like Taco Bell or anything. Like me and her were talking about the other day. We got 4 things from Taco Bell, and it was $30. I remember being able to walk in there with $5 and be able to feed an army. I used to love it. Me and my friends would all throw $5-10 together in high school, get those 20 taco boxes from Taco Bell, and it was the move. It's just everything's so freaking expensive now.
It's gotten ridiculous. I mean, obviously they're trying to come back and appease the masses with these, McDonald's $5 boxes and KFC's $5. I mean, everybody's doing a $5 box now.
The trend.
Everybody's going to do. I think that's going to be like the trend for all the fast food restaurants. It's going to be $5.
It's just, I don't know. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
But when it comes to food and everything, obviously, you have a very immense knowledge in the food truck industry. I'm not going to ask you your favorite, because that's not fair. You deal with a lot of food trucks. Are there any food trucks that you feel like are not getting the recognition they deserve, I guess is more the way or maybe not enough people know about them or anything like that?
Well, obviously there are several that are out there that are, that are just getting started. So obviously the people don't know about them.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a new food truck popping up every month now.
Really?
Honestly, they're literally. I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm seeing at least 1 or 2 food trucks that are popping up every month. A lot of Latin trucks, both Venezuelan, Colombian. Obviously we have a large Mexican community here in Jacksonville, but now we're starting to get other nationalities, Ecuadorian, Guatemalan.
I don't think I would even know what like Ecuadorian food would be, to be honest with you.
So there's a great local truck, the Empanada Lady.
Okay.
She started off with just a tent and like a fryer and being out there, at markets.
Okay.
And now she has her own little truck and trailer. But she's from Ecuador.
Okay.
And she does Ecuadorian style empanadas.
Ooh.
And now she's doing brunch bowls.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Which are phenomenal. She's really like kind of opening people's eyes up to something new. And then you got a couple of trucks that are just starting out. Like one is J&G's Burgers and Papitos. And they're Colombian. Husband is Colombian and wife is Venezuelan, so they blended their kind of cultures.
That's a cool mix.
Yeah. So and obviously I got some of my favorites. Obviously I've got a lot of favorites and places that I go in a regular. And then you got like if you want a fusion, you got my guys Brochachos that are doing like American Latin fusion tacos and quesadillas and nachos.
You're speaking to my heart right there. I could always go for a good taco or a quesadilla, or like you were saying there. One actually I went to school with a food truck owner now, and they actually have multiple now. I'm sure you're aware of Fat Boy Fried Rice.
Yeah, I know those guys.
I went to school with them actually. They literally got out of high school, and right after graduate, I believe that just came right up, and their marketing's really good, and they've blown up at least over the past couple of years from what I've seen.
Sure. I mean, I was actually one of their first customers during the pandemic when they were just selling out of their house.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I say every time I see them post a video, I'm like, dang, that does look really good. I need to go back and get some food.
Yeah.
I would say the one food, I know there's trucks that probably serve it. I haven't had it in a very long time, is lumpia. I would love to go. Like, lumpia is one of those things. I remember we would have in culinary class back in high school, there would be a day, like a free day, make whatever you want, or you could bring in whatever you want.
Sure.
And I forgot forgot the girl's name, but she would bring in just one of those big, silver pans of lumpia, and they'd be gone in 10 minutes because you can just keep throwing them down, and they're just so freaking good.
Have you had the lumpia lady?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so
I'm gonna write her down now that we're talking about it.
So she's very known in the community. That's all she used to do, but now she's actually doing full dinners, pancit and chicken adobo and things like rice and everything. But yeah, she does fantastic lumpia, and she also does frozen. You can order them cooked, you can order them cooked, or you can order them pre-order. And she'll pre-make them and freeze them, and then you can actually make them at home.
Oh, that's a really cool idea, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how people kind of find, my favorite thing about talking to business owners and everything is finding their little ways of, whether making a little more profit or adding another kind of spin to their business. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't think I can just freeze this real quick, give them instructions and have them make it at home and still be that fresh flavor and not the processed stuff that you would get from Target, Walmart, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that.
So the lumpia lady is definitely a go-to when she's out and about. Another one is the Hungry Owl.
I've never heard of that one. Okay.
Let me school you.
I like it. I'm writing all these things down.
The Hungry Owl also, I was one of her first customers when she first opened up her food truck back during the pandemic. And she was parked over on the corner of South Side Atlantic at a little gas station there on the corner.
I think I may know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, across from the Walgreens or whatever on the corner.
Oh, yeah.
So actually on Atlantic Boulevard, that little gas station. And so I've known Nipa is her name, and I've known her for, since she got started. And now she has her truck that's parked over at Ruby Beach Brewery downtown on Forsyth. And she does fantastic food. She does a blend of Filipino and Hawaiian style food. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've always wanted to go try. I've seen the Hawaiian side of things. I would love to go try. Obviously, I know they're not doing this in a food truck, but where they bury the pig in the ground, and they actually make their own kind of oven in the ground and everything. That always looked good. Or the spam. What is it when they wrap it with masubi? I think is what it is.
Spam masubi, yeah.
I want to go try that too because I like spam. That stuff looks good.
So I encourage you, because you're not that far from them. There's Mariana's Grinds, and they have the bakery where they also do spam masubi called Say So Sweets.
Okay,
they're on Beach Boulevard. The Mariana's Grinds is the restaurant side, and they're right there at St. John's Bluff and Beach Boulevard.
Nice. Okay.
If you're wanting that Hawaiian style, I encourage you, because they do the spam and eggs and spam fried rice. And,
that sounds good.
And they do the fried chicken with the eggs and ube French toast.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So obviously you just named a bunch of different kinds of food trucks and everything. Is there a certain food group or just a certain kind of food that you feel we are missing in Jacksonville that you don't feel like there's a food truck for it currently?
Honestly, I think that one thing that's missing and that you don't really see at all is Eastern European, German or Czech, that I think that you don't really see that around here.
So Wiener Schnitzel and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, you might I think there's maybe one or two places that do bratwurst and they actually do traditional, but you don't really see it that much here.
Yeah, I agree. I guess that's a good point. That is something I haven't thought about in a little while, is that kind of food in general.
Yeah.
I say me and her usually go every year to the TPC Sawgrass events and everything. And I love, one of my favorite things that they do is they do all the food truck vendors. There's a good amount of them in a big circle, and you can go try new ones every single year.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite, this is a restaurant, not a food truck now, but one of my favorite restaurants in Jax is Flying Iguana.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of their tacos, and they used to have a secret menu. It was called a DJ Loman, and it was basically fries. It's on a taco, soft taco with fries, their steak, and then they put their, I forgot the kind of peppers they put on it, and then they put a nice fried egg on top of it, and it was so freaking good. Obviously, it's not classic. It's, sure, it's definitely Americanized and everything, but I do love that. I do love those tacos over there.
Okay. Yeah. I've had flan iguana a couple of times, but typically when I'm in the mood for tacos, I'm more of a traditionalist.
I can definitely understand that.
There's a couple of nice, like, good restaurants that do do tacos really well that are also brick and mortar. One is Tepio a lot.
Okay.
Basically, it's like the Aztec name for Jaguar.
Really? Okay.
But it's a brewery and restaurant.
Ooh, that sounds good. I could always go for a good
They
beer.
started as a food truck, and now they have the brewery, and they actually still cook out of the food truck right now. Because the kitchen hasn't been fully built out yet, but they're doing really good food over there.
That's really cool. I would say this, as we were talking about, just the food truck scene has really grown. And we were talking before the podcast started about Hotbox pretzels.
Oh, yeah.
They're exploding right now.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere.
I've met the guy a couple times.
Yeah, me too.
He's 20. He's like 20, 21.
I think he's 22 now.
Is he?
I think he started when he was 20.
Is that what? Okay, that may be the story I'm remembering.
Yeah, I think he started when he was 20, but I think he's 22 now. And yeah, he came out of nowhere, and he found a niche that nobody was doing, which is smart. And now he's been on like Master Chef show.
It was one of those shows with Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay show. Yeah. I forget the name of it too.
No, you're fine. But no, he's just, for a kid, he's younger than me. I'm 25.
Yeah.
And to see that, he's like, I got multiple trucks now. And now he's actually opening up a place where the pretzels will, like, not a brick and mortar where you can come in and buy the food, but he's opening up his own like store. Or like,
well, he needed to. That for having multiple trucks, you need that type of like almost like assembly line, like a place where you can make more bulk, where you can actually produce more pretzels.
You can only do so much with, you don't want to just sell out in 2 hours when you could really be out there for another 4 and keep bringing stuff in and, making sure your customers are happy. And I just think a good pretzel is definitely a good idea because, be going up north to like Philadelphia or, New Jersey area, that's a huge thing. A nice soft pretzel or, obviously the Philly cheesesteak and everything. Right. And it's crazy. And I love to see the ingenuity of it.
Yeah.
Because I think, what's he call his pretzels, like wafts or something?
Wafts.
Yeah, and
they're shaped as a W.
It's amazing. I love the ingenuity of everybody here in Jacksonville. If you're willing to start a business, I respect it.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people, I've said this a bunch of times as well, there's a lot of people who get stuck in the what if I fail? What if I, don't do this right? And obviously that's a real thing. There's nothing wrong with thinking that, but if you just get stuck in that and you never start, how are you going to know if you can make it through or, like get through the highs and lows of it and, you'll make it through. That's the main thing I would say.
Well, anything that's worth doing is worth doing hard because it's not going to be easy if it's worth doing it. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think that a lot of people forget that success comes from failure. You have to be able to be willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail, then how are you going to succeed?
I totally agree.
There is no success without failing a couple of times because that's going to make you stronger.
I feel like that's just a good lesson in life in general, no matter what you're doing, whether it's a job or, with what we're doing now, sitting here talking on the mics and everything, you're just going to learn, you're not always going to be perfect. And there's some days I come in here, I might seem a little down or, or just making sure, like, my main thing is make sure I show up and be 100% as much as I possibly can. And obviously, as you know, life happens. So you're not going to be 100% every single day. You're not going to love it with that intensity maybe every single time, but then you're going to have something that reminds you of why you're doing this.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like the biggest thing that some people forget or, they just focus on the bad where there's a lot more good that's around you, and just changing your perspective can help you keep that fire going.
Yeah, I agree. I could easily go back to retail and I could, but that's not my passion anymore. My passion is helping local small businesses and, basically introducing people to the restaurants that are hidden, that don't have a budget, that are hole in the walls, that may not be the prettiest, but the food is delicious. And letting people know that there's more to Jacksonville than what's in your 5 mile bubble. There's, if you live near the town center, guess what? There's a whole other side of Jacksonville. There's several sides of Jacksonville. There's the west side. There's the north side. There's, Ocean Way, about by the airport. There's Orange Park is really just an extension of West Jacksonville to me. You got Jax Beach, so if you're not willing to venture out, then you can claim there's nothing to do in Jacksonville, there's no good food in there, but how do you know?
Exactly. You're not venturing out. Here's a little more pointed of a question for you. You're not going to have to name the restaurants or anything, but which side of town's putting out the best food?
Ooh. That's a loaded question too. I tell you, right now, I probably have to say that the south side of Jacksonville has a lot of great new spots that are opening up, especially out like towards like St. John's Bluff, and also out towards the beaches. Not quite the beach, but there's some places out there. Some of them that were food trucks. Places like Easy Eats.
Okay.
Start off as a food truck. It was Easy Eats by Yaya.
Yes, okay.
Moroccan Mediterranean. They started out as a food truck, and now they have a brick and mortar. Abstract Filipino Essence also started off as a food truck. Now has their own brick and mortar as well over there on Beach and just over the San Pablo hill over there by Engine 51.
Yep, I know what you're talking about over there. I'm surprised to think that you're saying this side of town. I was highly surprised by that.
But once again, there's also some great places on the north side. There's a great food truck park on Lim Turner.
I didn't know that. Okay,
that has multiple food trucks. There's Chef Love, who does breakfast bowls and lunch bowls, and she does oxtail bowls. And so, I mean, then you got New Flavors, who just came on the scene, which does fantastic wings and tenders. You've got Semperlicious Barbecue.
That's a cool name. I like that name. Yeah.
And you got Rich Taste over there, who's doing more soul food and seafood and stuff like that. So there's so many places that people forget that, have good food. You just have to be willing to drive a little bit.
That's the thing, is just Jacksonville's so big. That's the thing where I feel like people can easily forget a corner of Jacksonville and I've never been there, or they hear a reputation about a certain area and and at the end of the day, Jacksonville is one of those places where you could be in a super $1 million rich neighborhood, and then a mile down the road, maybe a little bit less economically, taken care of and everything. Right. But at the end of the day, I feel like food is food. Food is one of those things that is the ultimate equalizer, where you can sit down, have a meal with someone who may have a different, lifestyle, or grew up in a different style than you did. Sure. And you can sit there and tell stories over food and be able to eat the same thing and experience the same thing together. Absolutely. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I mean, like I said, one place that I've been going to since I was a kid is a local spot called Blue Boy, Blue Boy Sandwich Shop. They've been around since 1962. Oh, wow.
And they've been baking their own bread and making their sandwiches with that bread since the beginning.
I bet it's delicious too.
And it's fantastic. A lot of people, don't know about them. And it's like, I want to introduce people to those type places that I grew up on that kind of shaped me into who I am. Jenkins Barbecue. Jenkins Barbecue is a classic barbecue spot that's not pretty. It's a hole in the wall, but the barbecue comes out of it is some of the best barbecue you ever have. If you like a mustard-based sauce, that's my jam. That
sounds good. I love a good mustard-based sauce.
And they have a classic mustard-based sauce that is just unique. That it's Jenkins whenever you taste it.
That's the best thing, is something that puts them apart from everybody else. Yeah. And I feel like the hole-in-wall places are usually the best places. That's because they're there for a reason. They haven't just survived off of brand name or anything, or, their social media. They are making and putting out good food that makes people happy and makes people want to come back, rather than just try it once and then never come back again.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, you just have to be willing to get outside your own comfort zone. You got Tex-Mex fusion, a place, one truck called Daddy-O's Portable Patio, who's doing like authentic, like Tex-Mex tacos. And my favorite is their tachos, which is basically nachos made with tater tots.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's fantastic.
Shane, I'm going to eat so much food after this. I'm getting hungry off just this conversation. That sounds delicious.
And, and then back to the barbecue side, you got so many barbecue places locally. But then you got like newcomers, like Moore's Barbecue, who's doing Florida style barbecue, not trying to bring, any other like Texas or, South Carolina. He's bringing like his own style here, and he's creating his own, menu.
What would you say is a Florida, just for my knowledge, what would you say is Florida barbecue? Because I know that Carolina is more like vinegar based, right?
Yeah.
So what's a Florida based barbecue?
So, I mean, as far as the sauce, it is definitely more of a molasses, sweet and smoky.
Okay.
But I know that Jake does, he does a blackberry barbecue sauce.
Ooh,
he makes his own, and he does like mustard base. He does a Alabama white sauce.
Yes. Yeah.
And he does like sliced brisket. He does his own rub. He does everything from scratch, injections, pulled pork. And he does everything on the smoker. So even like the macaroni and cheese and the baked beans.
Yeah, that smoky flavor from being on
the smoker. So it's like stuff like that. I want people to get introduced to.
I love it.
No,
I absolutely love it. And like I said, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed getting to sit down and talk with you and everything. Yeah. I got 2 final questions for you for the podcast.
I could talk food and local all day long.
No, like I've written down places because I want to go try some new spots, because that's my main thing. Like being over here on this side of town, after sometimes you just keep going to the same places, you get tired of having the same food and want to go try something new. But one of my final questions for you is, what is something that people may not know about you that's not portrayed on social media, whether it's like a pastime that you like to do or anything like that?
Pastime. I mean,
or do you have any other passions outside of food? Maybe that might be a little bit better of a question.
Well, I mean, honestly, like I love music.
Okay.
I'm not American Idol status or anything. But I can carry a tune, and I like to occasionally go karaoke and
love that.
And cut loose.
What kind of a style of music is your style when you go do karaoke?
I mean, I'm very eclectic with my music. I do everything from Lionel Richie to the Black Crows.
Really? Okay.
To Hootie and the Blowfish.
Love me some Hootie. Yeah.
To Sir Mix-a-Lot.
That's one I don't know, actually. I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever listened to the music.
You've heard the song.
Have I? Okay.
It's called Baby Got Back.
Okay, yes, I know, sir. Yes, I know that one. Me and her will be actually singing that every so often around the apartment and everything.
So, that's kind of like my fun go-to.
I love it.
To like cut loose and like get people like out of their seats and stuff is Baby Got Back.
That's really cool. I love that. Like I said, I love learning just the little things. That's something I would not known about you. I'm glad.
I haven't gone in a while because I've been, with life and everything.
Understand.
But yeah, I mean, I love, finding, new things to do. Speaking of karaoke, and if you ever get a chance to get outside of the area, karaoke spot that also has a restaurant attached, Nakama.
Nakama, okay.
So Nakama Anime Cafe, they're open for like lunch and dinner. And next door they have a bar that also has karaoke.
Okay.
And they do open karaoke, or you can actually rent out rooms.
That's really cool.
And go karaoke and with a group.
I could see me and my friends having a couple beers and getting in there.
Absolutely. They have a full bar and everything.
I love that. That's really cool. So my final question here, and like I said, thank you so much for your time again today. I know you're a busy man, so anytime I get a chance to sit down with a local legend here in Jacksonville, I always feel honored. So thank you for your time today.
I don't consider myself like anything other than just a local crusader for the community. I never want people to think that I think I'm the it.
Oh, of course.
Or I'm the end all be all.
No, you're just here to help promote local people here in Jackson.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a great thing. You're giving your time to people. You know, a lot. That's really the most expensive commodity nowadays is your time. We only have so much time here, and you spending that to help uplift local Jacksonville is a big thing. Because there's a lot of people who are like, mind my mind. I don't want to, anybody else to be on my page or blah 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 blah. And it's great that you're helping these people who enjoy it and are, I'm sure, thankful for the help that you do for them. So that's awesome. Yeah. So my final question for you, and I always ask this for someone that's their first time on the podcast, is do you feel successful? And if you do or do not, in what ways?
I don't consider myself successful, mainly because I haven't achieved everything that I want to achieve. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in my current success, but I haven't reached the full epitome of success that I want to. And it's not about being rich, like making money. It's just about, having the ability to do what I'm passionate about, and basically being able to do it comfortably with my bills being paid, and knowing that I made a difference, before I leave.
No, I totally agree. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment right there. Some people, as you said, it's about the money in the bank account, or, it's about spending time with their friends or anything. Like, that's my biggest thing about my success is trying to leave some mark. I don't care. Obviously, money is great. Bills paid, that's great. That's obviously a thing. But just leaving something behind, so wherever I'm gone, there's still something here, Like with this, I always call this my audio diary. I don't know if this will ever get big, but at the end of the day, it's something I've enjoyed doing. And this is something that when me and her have kids, they can hear what their dad was like at 22, 23, 24, 25, and get to, learn a little bit about their dad, or, just people in general get to learn more about Jacksonville. If this is something that could be left here and people can use it as this is a good spot to go in Jacksonville, whether it's food or, a business, and get to learn about it. That's me leaving my mark in the city I was born and raised in, and, helping. That's just the main thing. I feel like being like an act of service, I guess is what I would say. Yeah.
It's creating a legacy, that you can be proud of, and that's very important, to a lot of people. But a lot of people, unfortunately, the younger generation, are blind to that part of life, is creating a legacy that people can talk about for decades when you're gone. That's important to me.
I agree. I say for me, I've always been very keenly aware of how life is fragile and also short at the same time. Yeah. And that's my main thing, is trying to wake up every morning. Not every day I want to go to work. Not gonna lie to you. I go to work and do whatever, but try to, put something out there, make something of your day, because you never know when it may be your last. I'm sure obviously after the car accident, that was a scary thought for you right there. And it's just, life is one of those things where it's very short, and people like to think of how long it is, and I hope I'm going to get 90 years out of this life, and at the end of the day you really don't know that. So just trying to make something of yourself every single day, make yourself 1% better. That's my favorite saying. Make yourself 1% better every single day, and after a year you're 365% better.
There you go.
I agree.
I like that.
Thank you. So before I let you go, if you want to let everybody know where they can give you a follow and everything, and check out all the stuff you're doing with your food trucks and obviously your personal page as well, feel free to let everybody know anything you want to promote.
Once again, you can find me on all the platforms. Mainly Instagram is my main, probably largest platform, and that's Big Rich Knows Jax, and Food Trucks of 904. Go follow me, and then go follow some of these local restaurants and these local small businesses that maybe you didn't know about, and that you could go support sometime this week or this weekend. Make sure that you tell them, hey, I found you on Big Rich's page. That makes me, feel better about what I do, because I'm making a difference. And, like I said, it's not about me being famous. It's not about me, getting the accolades. But whenever these restaurants, come to me and say, hey, these guys came in and they said you sent them here, or they tag me on their stories, saying Big Rich sent me, things like that. That makes me continue to want to do this. It gives me even more passion that, hey, I'm doing something worthwhile, and people are responding to it.
I love it. So, guys, make sure you go give him a follow on both the pages. Everything will be linked in the description, so you can go straight to his pages, go check out all the great food places that he's putting out there, all the awesome food trucks, and go support local Jacksonville. That's everybody wants to go support these big brands that don't care about you, when every single dollar that you spend with these, whether they're smaller or they're just local-based companies here, that money that you're spending with them means so much more to them than these big companies, these multi-million-dollar conglomerates. So go out there, support local Jacksonville, support this man right here. Go give him a follow, all that good stuff. And also, if you guys want to go follow someone as well, you guys can give me a follow on the social media. It's going to be at Who Are You Pod for everything on all the social media. Also, the YouTube page. Come check out the YouTube page. I know we're a little bit newer here. We're getting better with the video editing. We're getting there. It takes a little bit of time, but make sure you guys give us a follow on the YouTube page. Also, if you guys know anybody who has a story that needs to be told, a business owner, entrepreneur, artist, musician, anybody really, I'm always happy to sit down, have a conversation, and get to learn a little bit more about someone either here local in Jacksonville or someone who just moved to Jacksonville. So you guys can shoot me an email. Excuse me. It's going to be whoareyoupod@yahoo.com, or you can hit me up on any of the social media, whoareyoupod, and we'll maybe have you guys on a future episode. But as I say every single week, y'all, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for checking out the page and all the support as well, and we'll see you guys next week.